advantage. Now let's switch gears. Let's talk about desktop. Now, we introduced Ryzen into premium desktop systems about 3 months ago. And the reaction from the market, from end users, has been fantastic to Ryzen. And I think that the reason for the great reaction, the great momentum around Ryzen, is really because of the competitiveness of the product itself. So we've introduced 7 versions of Ryzen into the market, and this chart actually shows all 7 of those versions. And what it shows is each one of those Ryzen processors compared to its nearest price Intel competitor in the market today as well. And what this is showing is relative CPU performance, relative multi-threaded performance. And what you can see is up and down the retail pricing stack, Ryzen is delivering just a tremendous amount of performance advantage versus our competitor. I mean, anywhere from 30% performance advantage to over 70% better performance versus the Intel processor. I mean, this Ryzen is really setting a whole new bar for performance in premium desktop systems. And it's not just benchmarks that we're winning on with Ryzen, it's real end user applications as well. So what this chart is showing is this is publicly available third-party data, so you can find this data yourself. And this is showing Ryzen processor relative to Intel processor. So the Ryzen processor is shown in the orange line, the Intel processor in blue. And this is showing a range of different customer workloads. And what this is showing is that the Ryzen processor is outperforming the Intel processor by tremendous margin. And here we're comparing our best Ryzen 5 processor against Intel's best Core i5 processor. And in consumer applications like video encoding, like content creation, like encryption, over 50% performance advantage versus the competition. And then in some of those new and growing applications like game streaming, so game streaming is where you're playing an interactive game, maybe it's esports, and then you're streaming that experience live to your friends or your fans at the same time. Ryzen 5 is a great processor for that. The Intel Core i5 processor actually can't handle that workload. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. And then Ryzen 5, a great gaming processor as well, whether it's premium gaming, 4K, VR, or lower resolution gaming. So if you look at the Ryzen processors, really kind of the best all-around processor for premium desktop. But rather than look at the benchmarks, let's take a look at it in action again. So Kevin, can you show us a competitive demo?
I'd love to. I'd love to. So let's look at the Ryzen 5 1600X in action. Before we look at the demo, though, one confirmation from external sources that Ryzen 5 1600X that you talked about as a great processor, it was actually named the CPU of the year from the European Hardware Awards. This just happened in the last week, so we're really proud of that. We thought we'd like to show, hey, it's not just AMD that thinks this product is good. Third-party reviewers are saying the same thing as well.
That's great.
So let's see what it looks like in action, though. So let's start the demo. So what you're seeing here is on the right, you see the Ryzen 5 1600X processor, and on the left, you see the flagship Core i5 processor. And what you're watching here is Dota 2, but you're not watching the actual gameplay, you're watching a stream. So what's happening is the player's playing the game, and it looks smooth on the player's side, whether you're playing on Intel or AMD. But when you try to stream it, that's where the extra cores and threads of that 1600X come in and deliver that great experience. So you can see the smooth stream coming from the AMD side and the really choppy stream on the Intel side. As a matter of fact, you can also see that it's completely maxing out their CPU. If you look on the bottom right-hand corner, that CPU is at full utilization, just playing the game, and is unable to stream it as well. Whereas on the AMD side, you're only at 30–40% utilization, and you see that beautiful streaming experience coming through. And oh, by the way, as a bonus, we also layered in some additional applications. So you have an IM session going in the background. You actually also have Google Docs open. So if you want to game and do your homework at the same time, there's enough cores and threads in Ryzen 5 to do all of that at the same time. Modern workloads and the way people use their PCs today, they don't just do one thing. And that's the beauty of having this 6-core, 12-thread processor, is you can do much more with your computer, as you can see here, Jim.
Wow, that's impressive. All right. Thanks, Kevin.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it. Okay, so game streaming, that's a growing application. Of course, another growing application, growing usage model is virtual reality. Very proud to announce today that all Ryzen processors will be Oculus approved. So the Ryzen 5 and Ryzen 7 processors that are already in market today, as well as the Ryzen 3 processor that will come out in Q3, all Oculus approved. You already see some Ryzen systems in the market today with Oculus Ready certification. And as the OEM systems come to market, you'll see even more systems in the marketplace.